First at 4 o'clock, an FDA advisory panel recommending the approval of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine last night, providing some possible light at the end of the tunnel in this pandemic. But not everyone voted in favor of that emergency use authorization. I spoke with one of those panelists who's also an associate professor at the University of Michigan Medical School, and she says that she is a big advocate of vaccines, but thinks we need a little more time before we see a mass release.
My vote wasn't no, never. My vote was no, not yet for an EUA.
Dr. Ovita Fuller, Associate Professor of Microbiology and Immunology at the University of Michigan, one of 4 no votes during Thursday's FDA advisory meeting discussing Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine.
I was actually surprised at the vote. I thought that there would be a lot more no votes based on the way that it was stated. So I was very surprised when it came out 17-4 to 1.
Dr. Fuller started the extensive vetting process in August before getting confirmed as an independent panel member in October.
It's a very long process, lots of forms and interviews, and you can imagine. Then you start getting the materials and you go, whoa, this is important stuff.
So important, she wants to make sure it's done right, hoping for more trials, especially to learn if the vaccine reduces transmission of COVID-19, not just infection.
Do we know that they are not getting infected? Do we know that if they're infected, are they shedding virus so that other people, it can be transmitted from them to other people?
She also wonders how an asymptomatic yet infected person would react to a vaccine, a group she says was excluded from Pfizer's trials.
And I'm sure those studies may be happening, but we didn't hear about it yesterday. I think we could get some of those answers in a couple of months. That would give everybody more confidence.
Dr. Fuller says she wishes the panel could have voted for expanded clinical studies rather than emergency use. That would have still released the vaccine on a much smaller scale, allowing healthcare workers who volunteer to be part of it.
You imagine that we have a river that's dammed, and if instead of just removing the dam and letting the water just flow everywhere, let's open a lock in the dam and release things gradually as we learn more.
The nearly 9-hour hearings, not only historical in fighting the pandemic, but it's also the first time the FDA did so virtually.
I think the virtual platform was difficult because we could only see what you could see. We could not even see the other colleagues on the panel. And I think if anyone had actually seen me in much of this, my body language would have said that I don't think we're getting to the most germane questions here. There's a long queue with a panel of 20-some people. If you are 10th, you may not get to ask your question.
And as the vaccine moves on to the next step, Dr. Fuller says the most important thing is gaining the public's trust so they actually get a vaccine they believe in.
Which vaccine should I take? Can I trust that this process to get me the vaccine has been done well, and trust my care provider or whoever it is that is administering this, that this is the right vaccine for me under the conditions of my life and my body.
And so this isn't the end for a vaccine approval. The FDA is expected to confirm the panel's recommendations as early as today or possibly sometime this weekend. It will then be up to the CDC to give that final go-ahead. Now, the panel's acting chair, Dr. Arnold Monto, is also a professor at the University of Michigan. Dr. Fuller says that they did manage to share a go blue at some point yesterday.